Hi, I'm Donna Davis, along with the founder of Cole's Wild Bird Products, Richard Cole. And so we want to ask your input today. We want a name for this show. We're live every first Wednesday of the month at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And so if you're watching right now, put where you're watching from into our comments. We really want this to be interactive. We want you to ask your questions and help us come up with the name for the show. I was thinking
It sounds like a contest.
bird banter. What do you think?
We'll come up. They've got the ideas.
Yeah, we'd love for you to come up with something. Just tell us what you'd like. And so we're going to go over some of the topics that we're going to have today. And we're going to, first of all, of course, this is a season of giving. So you have a few ideas, right, Richard?
Yes, I mean, everybody's trying to find gifts for all the people on their list. And if they like birds, I have 5 good suggestions.
Yep.
Just think about the 5 things, and you can pick a number of items within each group. The first one, everybody needs another feeder. If you feed birds, you've got some feeders. You can always use another feeder, especially a new feeder. And there's several kinds you can use. Tube feeders, just a slender plastic tube. Wooden feeders, nice boxy wooden feeder with a roof on it. You see them in many sizes and shapes. And platform feeders, just an open tray. And also tray feeders, which has a little dome on it and a bowl or bowl feeder. You can put things in. So there's a lot of different feeders out there. And most of them can be had under $50. Makes a nice gift. And that's, everybody wants one of those. You got to have, I don't have enough feeders, I know. So keep me in mind. Feed. Cole's Bird Food, of course, makes a great gift. If people are using the grocery store mix or the hardware store mix, and they get some Coles, they're going to love you. Or maybe not, because then they're going to be hooked on Coles, and that's the only thing their birds are going to like. But they'll have a lot more birds, so they're going to be happy. Coles has a wide variety of the foods, and one for each one of those types of feeders, and one for different kinds of birds. So Cole's Bird Seed, good bird food for the birds is another good gift idea. Bird houses. You can see in the summertime, the birds are going to be breeding in this area. They're going to be having young. You can watch that whole process. And like a good bluebird box is good for most birds that are going to be nested. The chickadees, the titmice, and the bluebirds are the main ones you're going to see. And so a couple of birdhouses around the yard. There's different kinds. And get one that's got a decent sized hole in it, at least 2 inches, 1.5 to 2 inch hole for the birds. And cedar wood is preferred. There's some good ones made out of stone type materials that hang. But put out a couple of birdhouses for your birds. It makes a great gift for somebody too. It's almost like feeders. You can't have enough birdhouses in your yard because the birds like shopping for a home. You say, well, I don't like that one on the corner, but I like this one on the cul-de-sac, or vice versa. So if you put several around your yard, you're going to have a much better chance of attracting some nesting birds. And then, of course, there's binoculars.
You brought some today, your visual aid.
You've got all of this activity in your yard, and birds are small. And they're 30 or 40 feet away, and they look this big to you.
Yeah.
You can't see much. However, if you have a pair of binoculars, this right here is a small pair. I keep these in my car, actually, so you never know. Wow. Yes, you got to have a pair in the car. You never know when you're going to stop and see something. You need the binoculars to see them. But if you're going to have some, if you're going to give them for the kids or the young kids especially, probably keep the price under $50. You can find some for $30. Don't get the $10 or $11, $12 ones because they're terrible. They don't work at all. But something around $30, $40, $50 is okay. It's especially for children. You don't have a huge investment in it. And ones that are run from $50 to say $150 are pretty good binoculars. Most of them will do well for you. You'd love to have a pair by your kitchen table or wherever you're going to see the bird feeder out in the yard. And of course, you can spend up to $800 or $1,000 for binoculars. But for around the house, if you're not really into watching birds that much, but you want to see what's going on, something in, like I said, really $100 to $200 range would be great. And that's a great gift idea for the husband or wife who's there watching the birds.
It's a great gift idea.
Yeah. And you can find this type of stuff, the feeders and everything, at your local bird stores. Here locally, we have Birdwatcher Supply Company, and there's a few locations around, so you go by one of them. And the good thing about the bird stores around, people know what they're talking about there. They can
Right.
help you. You go to the depot type store or something else, and they might know, yeah, the feeders are over here, and they don't really know that much about them. But the bird stores, these people are experts. All your local bird stores can help you.
Right.
And-
And yeah, my husband and I will always shop at Birdwatcher Supply. And we have gotten so much information from them that it's just, you wouldn't want to go anywhere else because
Yeah.
they told us how to attract bluebirds. They'll really take the time. Everybody there seems to be an expert, and they, they don't mind talking to you about it. They share that passion. Do you want to also show the tube feeder that you brought
Absolutely.
today?
And one of my favorite feeders, and probably one of the most versatile feeders you can have, is a tube feeder. This one is done by, oh yes, Coles. I know these people. They're great. But this is just an excellent tube feeder, and I've mentioned this before, but it's just so easy to clean, unlike most other tube feeders. You just pop off the bottom, you can open the top, hose right through it, run a brush through it. Easy to fill, easy to clean. And this one just plain looks good too.
What should you clean them with? What type of ingredients? I mean, should it be like soap and water?
You could use just plain soap and water. You can lay them in some water for a while. If it's really crusty, it shouldn't be that dirty inside. Just get a good bottle brush too. You can open the top on one of these things, like I said on this one, pop the bottom off, and you can just run a bottle brush in and out a few times and cleans it very nicely.
Have you ever washed it in the dishwasher?
No, I haven't.
I have.
But they say you can do it. I just have never done it.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty much the queen of lazy.
All right.
So,
Well, how did
I-
that work?
It worked great.
Good.
And I really didn't know, like what's going to get it really,
Yeah.
really clean and
And-
sanitized,
yeah.
So, I've washed it in the dishwasher. So you'll see me looking over at my computer every once in a while. That's just to see if anybody has a question, because we really want people to be interactive and, watch the show and give us any type of question. It doesn't have to be about anything that we're talking about, but Richard Cole is such a great expert. There's nothing you can stump him with. I've never
Right.
seen it yet. Okay, so
The next
go ahead.
question I
Sorry.
will not be able to answer. You realize that, don't you?
I've set us up. You're right.
One other thing, another gift number 5, category number 5. After you've got the feeders and you put some good seed in it, and you've got the birdhouses, the birds are coming. And you got the binoculars, you can see them. What bird is that I'm looking at? Well, bird identification field guides. This is one of my favorites. There's a lot of them out there, and this is Peterson's, and it's just full of pictures and descriptions and maps, which are very important. You see a bird, you say, "Oh, I know what that is," and you look. If you don't have a map that shows you where that bird is, you think it's that bird, and it's really only a bird in California and not anywhere else. So a little map will give you an idea of where the bird's located. And in this particular one, it shows you its winter range and its summer range and gives you a better way to identify the bird. And a lot of field guides, especially this one, will give you things like silhouettes of what birds. You might not be able to see the color, but you can see what it looks like in silhouette. And this one also has some helpful hints in the front, what to look for. Don't just look at the bird overall, but look at its bill shape. Look at the color patches, where they are. Look at whether it's got a top knot on it. And that helps you narrow down what bird you're looking at.
And they also will even tell you things like the flight, so you can
Yes.
identify a bird just by its
The way it
flight.
flies.
I think that's so interesting because
It
sometimes
is.
it is hard to tell, just especially if the colors are kind of muted, like what they are.
Yeah.
But a lot of times their flight or their song will give it away.
Song is really important, and a lot of people get into the song, and you don't even have to see the bird if you're very familiar with the songs. But this is kind of adds to the fun of the hobby and intrigue of the hobby. You can start trying to identify these guys. Keep a little list of how many birds you've seen in your yard, what birds you've seen in your yard. And here's another field guide. It's one of the ones I use a lot. This one has all the birds in the United States. The one I showed you before, it comes in 2 versions. This one is for the eastern United States. There's a complementary version that goes for the western birds in the western United States. And this one covers all the birds throughout the United States. And it's also a very good field guide. It has maps, it has descriptions, and they're both great. There's several others out there that are just as good. But that makes a wonderful gift too.
Oh, it is. That's great
yeah.
because there's so much information in
Yeah.
it, and it's such a small investment for all the joy that
Yeah.
you get back out of it.
Yeah. And you can see mine were well worn. I use them all the time.
Right.
And if you just keep them close to where your binoculars are, and close to where you're going to see the birds, just pick it up and look, and you'd be surprised how quickly you'll be able to identify the birds out there.
And then you can sound kind of smart in
Absolutely.
front of your friends.
Yeah, you can impress them, say, that's a whatever. Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so, and the next one is the best gift, I think.
Yeah, we're going to make, instead of the top 5, we're going to make a number 6, which is really number 1 in a way. Kohl's calendar. It's great this year. I was really surprised. Customers sent in wonderful pictures, and it's a beautiful color catalog, calendar, and it's one of those gifts that kind of last all year long. So I think, Donnie, you're going to go over.
Yeah, we're going to go through each one, and we're going to recognize all these wonderful photographers that, don't you love this one, Richard?
Yes.
This is the cover video. It's Wilson's Warbler by Jessica Kemper. And how in the world has she got that adorable shot? That is so cute. I love the way it's just looking like, what are you saying? So now we'll go to, this is December 2018, Northern Cardinals by Deborah Stallings.
And that, excuse me, brings up a good point, too, that we have December of this year to get you into it, and then we carry it through January of next year. So it's a 14-month calendar.
Yeah.
So you get a few extra months there.
And it's available right now on Amazon.com. So you can just go on and buy your Kohl's calendar. And I love the way this represents the seasons because you see the birds in each one of those seasons. So this is January 2019. It's a pine warbler. And Dory, please don't feel bad if I mispronounce your name. It's Dory Deese, and it may be Deis. But, and then, wait, Kathy and I still don't know her name, and she's in here, Desaletes, or Desaletes, as any ideas on what you think may be causing the recently seen yellow cardinals showing up here in Georgia and Alabama. So we'll go ahead and come back, and then we'll go back to the calendar. So let's go to this.
She should ask that. We just happen to have a segment on that. Just stay tuned.
Oh, okay, great. We will go back to that. And then, so we'll go right back to our calendar and take a look at where we were.
There it is.
So this is February 2019, and this is a Carolina Wren by Michelle Bridgeforth. I love that. And it just looks so fine, even though it's cold out there. Lots of snow.
Yeah. Looks like February.
Yeah, definitely. And this is March 2019, The White-Breasted Nuthatch by Kathy Desaletes. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly because she sent us so many beautiful photographs. And then I love this one. But you said, I thought it was romantic. It's not romantic, right?
Well, it's nice.
It's a juvenile, right?
Yeah, it's juvenile. Yeah.
So it's April 2019, The Red-Bellied Woodpecker by Michelle Bridgeforth. Michelle must do a lot of photography. And May 2019, Eastern Bluebird by Jane Walker. Jane's another great one that just sends us photographs all the time, and hers are always good. And then this is June 2019, The Song Sparrow by Kathy Desaletes.
And what a nice picture of a song sparrow, too.
Yeah, it really is. Like, people don't think about sending in the sparrows, I think, because they think, oh, it's a common bird. But what a beautiful picture. So I think it doesn't matter if it's a common bird or not. If it's really and that was one thing we really judged these on is the really beautiful value of the photography. June 2019, I went through that one. July 2019, The Dark-Eyed Junco by Brittany Caffey. Don't you love that picture, Richard?
It looks like one of the Angry Birds.
Yeah, it kind of does.
It's about to pick a fight with somebody.
It's got that little expression on its
Yeah.
face. And August 2019, The Ruby-Throated Hummingbird by Dory Deese again. Isn't that beautiful? Love that photograph. And September 2019, The Northern Cardinal by Jane Walker again. Love the contrasting colors in this one. Jane did a great job. October 2019, The Rose-Breasted Grosbeak. Is that how you say it? Grosbeak?
Grosbeak, yeah.
Sorry, by Michelle Bridgeforth.
One of my favorite birds.
That is so cute. It almost looked like a mirror image, didn't it? The two birds that were there. So this one is November 2019, Woodhouse's Scrub Jay by Jessica Kemper. That's beautiful.
It is.
And December 2019, The Northern Cardinal and American Goldfinches by Michelle Bridgeforth. And I love this picture. I love the contrasting colors against that white snow background. That is beautiful. And finally, January 2020, Blue Jay by Michelle Bridgeforth. So lots of just absolutely gorgeous photographs in this. It's a really high quality calendar, just like what you would expect from Kohl's, because the seed is so high quality, the feeders are, and the calendar is a large size. I wish we had one with us today. We should have one. But it's huge pictures, it's really high quality paper, and it's just a beautiful calendar.
And some little helpful hints here and there.
Yes,
yours
that's
truly.
right. That's right. We have some things to be on the lookout for and some little advice and tips all the way through on this calendar. So there's a lot of value in it. So now we're going to move on to strange birds, right? Is that
Strange
what's
birds.
next?
Yes, that was, the question was great. A lot of times you look out there and you recognize the birds. They all look like they're supposed to look, but sometimes you look and one of them just doesn't look right. A lot of times you'll see, say, a grackle. Everybody could recognize a grackle or one of the other blackbirds, but you'll see one with some white feathers in its tail, or maybe a few white feathers in a wing. And you say, yeah, that's strange. Sometimes you hear somebody talk about, or you may even see, an albino bird. And say, and you hear that a lot. This bird was albino, that bird was albino. And sometimes it's not. There's a very fine distinction between being leucistic or an albino. And we're going to go over that a little bit, and we may even have some pictures.
Yeah, I want to see that, what an albino bird looks like. I don't know that I've ever seen one.
You don't see them too often. They tend not to survive as long as other birds for several reasons.
Yeah, they get seen.
They have other weaknesses, and they really stand out. I've seen a couple, not many. I've seen several albino hummingbirds or leucistic hummingbirds. And the difference in those two is an albino, and we'll look at a great example in just a minute, but albino has total loss of pigment. And so the eyes of these birds, a good way to tell, will be pink or reddish and no dark color in it at all. And you'll look at the bill or the legs, they'll be pinkish instead of the dark color. And on a leucistic bird, they'll have some pigment in there, but have maybe some feathers that are white, as I mentioned on the blackbird, be a couple of feathers, or maybe the whole bird would be missing one of the shades of coloring, which will give an entirely different look. And I know mention someplace, actually I'll just go ahead and mention it now, there's a picture of a cardinal that you really ought to take a look at. And it's on Kohl's Facebook page. We have posted it there. So when this show's over, not right now, when this show's over, look into Kohl's Facebook page and look for the rare cardinal, yellow cardinal. You're going to look at it and think it's a big goldfinch at first because it just doesn't look right. When we're talking about strange birds, that's one of them. So I think we have some pictures to go through.
Yeah, Alex, do we have some pictures we can see? So which one is this one?
That is a leucistic bird. It's not albino because it's not totally devoid of color.
Yeah.
And you can see the bill has a color, but I've never seen one like this myself. I see a patch of color, one wing or the tail or the breast or something is totally covered. But this one looked like it got scattered all over, a shotgun effect. Little patches of color that are missing in the feathers all over the bird. It's a really strange-looking bird.
Yeah.
Now, here we go.
That's full albino, right?
That's a full albino. And if you could make it out on there, the eye will be a reddish or pinkish color. As you can see, the bill has lost its color. The legs have lost their color. The feathers have no color. That's an albino.
Wow. I've never seen one. Oh, my gosh. Look at that.
Yep. And sometimes you see these birds. You don't know what they are. We get so used to how we identify them, but without their color patterns, it really throws you have to stop and think about it and look very carefully. And sometimes you just say, no, I don't know what it is.
Wow. It's got to be extremely rare, is it?
It's pretty rare, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go a long time without seeing one, but every now and then you'll catch a glimpse of one or somebody else will see one and take a
The fact that they even survive
picture.
any time at all in nature is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Now-
albino hummingbird? No, that's
No.
not that what that is.
Very good. You nailed it right there. You know it's not an albino. And it's not an albino because you see the bill has coloring in it, the eye has coloring in it, the legs have coloring in it, and also you can catch down the back and the tail. But there's a lot of white on that bird. So you get into identification. I don't know. You don't have the other patterns. You don't know what the gorget color is. hard to tell what it is. The next picture is going to show the difference between this one, which is leucism, a leucistic bird, and the next bird, which is an albino.
Wow.
There's an albino.
Yeah, that is a difference. Look at the eye color.
And you can see the bill lacks the color.
Yeah.
And the rest of it's white. There's no color on that bird. Those are beautiful birds.
Yeah. Oh, I
They're
can
really
imagine.
neat.
Could you imagine have you ever seen an albino hummingbird?
Yes, I've had some in my hand.
Wow. Really?
Yes, we went out, we've had a
Wow.
couple of calls, and we've gone out, and with somebody, and we captured a bird and banded the bird, so see if we could find it somewhere else if it ever showed back up again, so I got to see it.
I bet it's never showed back
And
up. It's just not.
we didn't
it's not
find
a
it
good
again,
thing to do.
but, you
Yeah.
know, we had a shot at it. So we got to
Yeah,
examine
how
it closely.
exciting that you'd see
It was a ruby throat.
Yeah.
And when we wrapped in, you have a little like sock you wrap it in to keep it safe while you're holding it. And I took a picture of that, and later it looked like this little bird with a smoking jacket on.
You don't still have that picture, do you?
Yeah, I have it somewhere. Yeah,
You'll
and
have
it
to
just
bring
it
it in
just looked so
sometime.
cute. The little bird's little head sticking up, and it had a little
adorable.
like a little jacket on it. And I've always said, well, that's my bird in this little smoking jacket. But,
Yeah, that's so cute.
They're interesting birds. To see one
Yeah.
totally different in color.
Yeah. Wait,
So-
I have a question for you.
Okay.
So I think you might be able to give Colleen some advice. She says, I'm thinking about ditching my hanging fly-in feeder because of all the trouble we're having with squirrels snatching the bird's seed. Will the red-bellied woodpeckers use the hanging squirrel-proof feeders, or should I put something else out for them? They seem to like to sit in the middle of the seed pile and feast. I would hate to run them off because of switching feeders. What a great question.
Yeah, there's a couple of things you can do. This is one of the problems with feeding the wild birds. The squirrels like the bird seed as much as the birds do, and they're very good at getting to your feeders. You can find one of the squirrel-proof feeders. There's several varieties out there, and you can go with that. Pretty much keep the squirrels off and still feed your birds, and they will come to it. There's something I could recommend it. You don't even have to change your feeder. That's the feeder you like and the place you like, and the birds like it. Use Cole's Hot Meats. We've mentioned this before. It's pure sunflower meat, so everybody's going to eat that stuff. And it's infused with chili pepper oil, a very concentrated form of that. So it's extremely hot to the taste for mammals, not for birds. They can't taste it. So they eat it with no problem whatsoever. But squirrels, it's a little too hot for them. They may taste it a little bit, and then they're out of there. I use that at home, and I have it in a tray, and the birds can just go in there and eat. And the squirrel just looks at it and walks by because it's already tasted it and knows it's not food fit. So that's another way to do it. You
Yeah.
can put a food they don't like. The only one we found, which is why we have Cole's Hot Meats, the only one we found that's effective is Cole's Hot Meats. We made it strong enough to be highly effective, and you can have that feeder right next to your window, wherever you want it. Squirrels will stay out of it.
Wow.
You can also do one of the squirrel-proof feeders. Most of the tube feeders, even the squirrels may still get on it and jump to it if they can. If you don't have a baffle system to stop them from getting to the feeder, they can still go on it and perhaps damage your feeder.
Yeah.
So-
So easy solution. Just get yourself some hot meats, some Cole's hot meats. And I am sorry. Did we fully answer Kathy's questions about the yellow cardinals? Have you seen any yellow cardinals here?
It just hit the internet and the news around locally around Atlanta, and there'd been one spotted in Alabama, and now there's one in Atlanta, and it's strange because it's not an albino bird. It's leucistic. It just lost one of the pigments, or two of the pigments. So the bird is a cardinal. It's obvious by the shape and the size, although when you first look at it, it looks like a male goldfinch in breeding plumage because it is yellow, just plain yellow. So it's worth taking a look at. We have that picture on Cole's Facebook page.
Oh,
So
okay.
like I said, after the show, go and take a look at that bird. It's just fun to look at. And
Gosh, I would love for somebody to get a picture of it.
yeah,
Wouldn't
and
it
we
be-
just
I
talked
mean,
about, yeah.
Yeah, you guys have a picture of a yellow. Is it one in Georgia, the one you have a picture of, or do you know?
I think we may have both of them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether it's the one in
Yeah.
Alabama or the
Yeah.
one in locally here in Georgia. I don't even know if it's the same bird that just flew from
Yeah.
over because I don't know the timeline. But it's worth taking a look at to see that bird.
Have you ever seen one? in real
No,
life? Like
I've
a
never seen a yellow cardinal.
Yeah.
I've seen one that maybe looked a little lighter, just barely. It's
Yeah.
like, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I've never seen anything like this photograph shows.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
have to go and
But
take a
that's
look
one of the
at
things
it.
we were talking about, these strange birds. there's another part of this also. You may look at a bird and the bill doesn't look quite right. And the first one I saw myself was on a feeder that I
Oh
had.
my
Oh, there's a
gosh,
great picture right there.
yeah.
The bill has overgrown and it's crossed itself. And these birds sometimes have so much trouble eating they do not survive.
Oh,
But some of them get along okay. This one looks like it doesn't look ragged. It doesn't look weak. It's hard to tell, but it may be getting along just fine, especially if there's a feeder around.
well, it doesn't look too thin, does it?
Here's another bird that has what we'd call a crossbill. There are a group of birds called crossbills whose
Yeah.
bill is designed very much like the one you're looking at there for cracking certain types of seeds. This is not designed this way. This is a problem with the keratin in the bill. It's a malformation. And you'll see this. If you ever see a bill that just doesn't look right, there's a lot of different ways it can show up or express itself, but that's one of them right there.
Yeah, so interesting. That's fascinating. And then, oh my goodness.
This bird,
That is not pretty.
this bird caused me a problem a long time ago.
Really?
It was, there was a lady I knew, and she told me she had this bird, and she described this bird. She said, I have this bird, it's red, it's fairly large, but it's got this little bitty head and this huge red beak. And I said, yeah, right, okay. And I went over the description with her a couple times. She said, yeah, that's it. And I knew this lady, and she had told me she loves to have a martini when she gets at home. And I'm thinking, well, maybe she loved to have more than one or two martinis because I've never heard of a big red bird with a small blue head and a large red beak. And I said, well, could you possibly get a picture of this bird? And she said, sure. All right. A couple of days later, she brought me the picture, and that's what it looked like.
That's fascinating.
And she described the bird absolutely perfectly.
Yes, she did.
And I'd never seen anything like that before. I've seen some cardinals, and especially blue jays, with the little feathers missing off their head, but I'd never seen a cardinal like that. So I got a chuckle out of that, and I love to show a picture like that whenever I can because it's great.
Yeah, you know.
It's a really strange bird.
Yeah, they do not, and it's just molting, right?
Yes,
There's nothing wrong,
yeah.
really wrong with
There's,
it.
there's two problems that you could have. There could be some lice or mites on the bird. They can't get them off, especially on the head. That's the only place they can't get to well. And that may be causing a problem. And also, it just could be the way that particular bird molts.
Yeah.
Each year they're going to lose all of their feathers. Generally, it's staged so they don't get bald in any one place.
Yeah.
And it's staged so that the wing feathers aren't or will fall off and regrow at a time they don't need to fly for. So it works out pretty well. There's still some argument about whether the ones with the head is because they can't get to it to scratch and remove the parasites or because it's just their molt pattern.
Yeah.
Either way, it's funny to see that.
It is.
You'll see a lot of blue jays. I have, in my
Yeah?
experience, more blue jays that way. And you see some other birds too, and obviously a few cardinals.
Yeah. Yeah. I see it mostly
Strange
with
birds.
cardinals.
Just you see
Yeah.
something like that, take note of it. Make some notes down. Take a picture if you can. Send it to somebody. 'Cause
Yeah.
These are interesting to see.
Yeah, I love all of this. So really quickly, we have about 2 minutes left. So let's talk about what you're thankful for this holiday season.
It's always a lot to be thankful for. Every year about this time, you start going over what's happened during the year, how things are going. And I started thinking about Kohl's and where we started a long time ago in my garage. And now look at where we are now, quite a few years later. And it's just like, to me, it's just amazing. And I'm so appreciative to all the customers out there who have been loyal to our products. And hopefully we've given you really good products. But you guys are great. And it's thanks to every single one of you because we wouldn't have got to where we are if it weren't for your support out there. And I really want to wish each one of you an extremely good 2019. I
Yeah.
hope it's the best year you've ever had.
Oh, Richard, that's so nice. And I'll never forget when I met you, your story. It's so powerful about how you guys just started out of your garage with nothing but passion and a lot of hard work and dedication. And I remember Richard tells a story about going to the bank and saying that he needed a bank loan to open a birding store where you could buy bird supplies. And they looked at you like you're crazy
Yeah.
and said, no one will ever support that. And then many, many years later, you have this huge international company, and, you know, certainly people have supported it.
Yes, they have. And thank you again, every one of you.
Yeah. So thanks, Richard. And it's always fun to be here. We are live every first Wednesday of the month at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And thank you so much for having your questions and watching the show. We'll see you next first Wednesday of the month in January.